Every theater leaves one light burning, not for safety, not for comfort, but because the stage remembers. And if it's ever left in darkness, completely, truly dark, it invites the ones who never got their final bow. Some say the ghost light keeps them in place. Others say it holds the line. Because when it burns out, they don't just watch anymore. They come through. Welcome, my dear ravens, and welcome back to the shadows. I am Lady Lenore, and tonight we step into a place where the applause never truly dies, and the final curtain never falls. The stories you are about to hear are works of fiction, but they are inspired by a place very real, a place steeped in history and hushed whispers of the unexplained, the Grand Opera House in Dubuque, Iowa. Tonight, my dear Raven, you are there. The phantom overture behind the stage, the air is unnervingly still, a maze of ropes, sandbags, and towering flats disappearing into the gloom above. The ghost light on the main stage casts a long, weak beam that doesn't quite reach this far back, barely illuminating the edge of the massive velvet curtain hanging silently in dark. An intense cold seems to cling to this space, seeping into your clothes despite the building's heating. You're pushing a mop across a section of the worn wooden floor in the wing space, working it into the corners where decades of dirt and spill stage drinks have settled. Your breath hitches slightly in the frigid air. The rest of the crew, scattered throughout the building, tackling their silent zones. You prefer working back here, alone. Is it the solitude or something else? Maybe it's the faint lingering scent of grease paint and sweat, mixed with something else. Something almost electric, like anticipation, frozen in time. Just another night shift, you tell yourself. But a part of you, the part that secretly loves the musty smell and the whispers the old theater seems to hold, knows it's more than just a job. You glance towards the dark, imposing curtain, a shiver that has nothing to do with the temperature that's tracing its way down your spine. Suddenly, a single note hangs in the air, a clear, resonant piano key struck with perfect precision. Your hand freezes on the mop handle. Every muscle in your body tenses. What was that? The sound feels impossibly close, vibrating in the air around you, yet the space is empty, and the distant glow of the ghost light. You hold your breath, straining to hear over the frantic beat of your pulse against your ribs. Nothing. Just the silence, rushing back in. Then, another note sounds, followed by another, forming a simple, melancholic melody played on a piano. It's beautiful, haunting, and played with a skill that raises goose flesh on your arms. The sound wraps around you, seeming to originate from the dark expanse of the stage or just beyond its edge. There's no one here. There can't be. The thought is a desperate shout in your mind. You release the mop, as if it's suddenly become red hot. It clatters against the floor, the noise sharp and alien in the unnatural quiet. You creep towards the edge of the wing space, drawn by the impossible music, towards the imposing velvet of the main curtain. You reach out a trembling hand, the fabric cool and rough beneath your fingertips, and carefully part the heavy material just enough to create a narrow gap. You lean in to peer through the opening, and the view is a limited slice of the auditorium. A few rows of empty seats caught by the faint ghost light, and the edge of the orchestra pit dropping into shadow just below the lip of the stage. You can't see the bottom, and you can't see if a piano sits there, or what is making the music. The melody continues, clearer now, seeming to rise from that unseen depth. As you listen, pressed against the curtain, you notice other sounds weaving beneath the piano melody. A faint rhythmic tapping, like a foot impatiently keeping time, a light, dry sound on wood, a soft rustle, like stiff fabric moving nearby. Then, almost faint at first, a sound like thousands of hushed breaths taken in unison, a collective, silent gasp, filling the darkness beyond your view. Your lungs feel tight, your breath locked in your chest. The music swells slightly, and the murmur begins, a low, resonant hum that starts deep in the auditorium and washes over you. A sound like a vast assembly shifting, settling. It grows, building in intensity, a deep, pervasive vibration that seems to hum in your very bones, making the floor beneath your feet feel alive. It is the sound of an audience, unseen but undeniably there, filling the empty space with their presence, a dense pressure in the air around you. Then it erupts, the applause. It bursts forth, not like rain, but like a physical explosion of sound. It crashes over you, a sudden deafening roar that slams into your eardrums, shaking the very timbers of the stage. It's the sound of thousands of hands clapping, a frenzied, ecstatic thunder that swallows all other noise. You flinch back from the gap in the curtain, pressing your hands against your ears. But it does little good. The sound is inside you, vibrating in your skull, making your teeth ache. It's overwhelming, terrifying. The sound of a standing ovation for a performance you never saw, for performers you cannot see. You stumble backward blindly into the wing space, spinning around in the dark. Your eyes wide, trying to pierce the gloom beyond the edge of the stage. You know the seats are empty, the balconies deserted, but the sound surrounds you, coming from the darkness behind you, from the vast space of the auditorium. There's nothing there, nothing. Yet the applause is deafening, triumphant, hungry. A cold sweat breaks out on your skin, chilling you despite the intense cold that already clings to this place. Beneath the thunderous roar, you start to hear the whispers, sharp, fragmented, clawing at your attention. They overlap, a frantic, breathless chorus. More, again, see us, please, don't leave, never leave, forever, perfect, again, again. The voices are raw with a desperate, insatiable need, a burning hunger for recognition, a frantic plea to be seen, to perform, forever trapped in this loop of spectral adulation. The applause begins to recede, slowly, like a tide pulling back, but leaving a ringing silence in its wake. The whispers fade with it, dissolving back into the unnerving stillness, but their echo vibrates behind your eyes. You stand there, chest heaving, muscles trembling, cold air sharp in your lungs. Your eyes dart to the mop you abandoned, a silent witness slumped against the wall. The scent of stale perfume and something else, something like old ambition and decay, hangs thick in the air. Look back toward the silent curtain, toward the dark, empty auditorium beyond. The ghost light on the stage burns low, a single indifferent eye in the darkness. You are alone again. But the silence is different now. It's vast, expectant. You listen, not for the music, not for the applause, but for the quiet, hungry waiting that fills the space. You came here to clean, to pass the night unseen, but you have seen, and you have heard. And the ghosts of the Grand Opera House know it. You feel their unseen eyes on you from the darkness, waiting. You are backstage, the performance is over, but the performers, they are still here. and you realize, with a cold dread that settles deep in your gut, that the final bow in this theater is never truly final. Not for them. And now, perhaps not for you either. You watch the stage, the echo of that applause still vibrating somewhere behind your ribs. The ghost light burns at its center, small, defiant, steady, until it doesn't. A flicker, just once, then darkness. You begin your late-night rounds, the familiar weight of the heavy ring of keys on your belt a small, grounding comfort in the swallowing dark of the auditorium. Your heavy boots make soft, rhythmic thuds on the carpeted aisle as you move, each step feeling unnaturally loud, amplified in the vast, waiting silence of the empty space. Your flashlight beam cuts a precise, moving circle ahead, pushing back the profound blackness, momentarily illuminating rows of hushed velvet seats and the silent architecture of the space. The air is cool and still, carrying the dry, faint, lingering scent of old perfume or cologne and settled dust. But beneath that was something else, something you couldn't quite place, a faint, almost expectant quality that prickled at your awareness. Far ahead, on the distant stage, the ghost light burns. A single, unwavering bulb on its stand. A solitary eye peering out from the gloom. From your perspective down here in the hushed darkness of the house, its glow barely reaches the front rows. Yet it feels like more than just a safety light. It feels watchful, a persistent presence in the gloom. A prickle starts at the back of your neck. Just the theater playing tricks, you tell yourself. It's always felt this way at night when it's empty. But as you walk the aisles, the oppressive weight of the empty seats around you seems to press in, and the unsettling sense of being observed begins to deepen. You continue your slow, measured patrol. The rhythmic thud of your boots on the carpet, now the only consistent sound besides the low thrum of blood in your ears. You sweep your flashlight beam across the silent rows of empty seats, a routine pass, looking for anything out of place. A dropped item, a seat left down. But then you hear it, faint, almost swallowed by the immense vastness of the auditorium. A delicate note hangs in the air. A single piano key struck with a perfect resonant clarity that feels utterly, impossibly not right in a locked, empty building at this hour. Your breath catches sharply in your throat. Every muscle in your body tenses, your hand tightening instinctively on the flashlight. What was that? Your mind scrambles for a logical explanation. The building settling? A strange draft hitting loose rigging? A sound from outside? Somehow carrying? No. You strain your ears, your gaze fixing on the distant stage and the dark pit below it, trying to pinpoint the source over the sudden, frantic pounding of your own heart against your ribs. The note is gone, swallowed by the heavy silence rushing back in. But it wasn't a creak or a groan. It was a sound made with deliberate intent, a sound that shouldn't be here, and the feeling of its source draws your attention like a physical pull towards the stage's edge. Despite the prickle of unease, a stronger impulse, curiosity, or maybe something else entirely, something deeper, pulls you forward. You turn from scanning the silent, watching seats, and begin walking down the aisle towards the front of the auditorium, towards the distant ghost light and the dark space before the stage. Your boots are quieter on the plush carpet here, but the immense silence still feels vast, expectant, seeming to part before you. As you get closer, the air seems to grow noticeably colder, the chill radiating from the stage area like a subtle, invisible mist you can almost feel on your skin. The faint ozone tang in the air, that unsettling electrical scent, grows slightly stronger here. You stop near the front row, peering towards the orchestra pit, a dark, silent void below the lip of the stage. Is the sound coming from there? You strain your ears again, listening intently over the sound of your breathing and the thrumming of blood in your ears. And yes, beneath that internal rhythm, you hear it again. Not just a single note this time, but a few, connected. A fleeting, melancholic hint of that melody you thought you might have imagined earlier. And now, maybe, a very faint, rhythmic tapping sound, like a foot impatiently keeping time, or fingers drumming softly on wood. It seems to come from the stage itself. Drawn by the impossible sounds, pulled by a fear that screams against your rational mind, you take the last few steps to the very edge of the front row. You stop there, the carpet thick beneath your boots, peering down into the orchestra pit, a gaping black maw below the lip of the stage. Then, slowly, your gaze sweeps across the stage floor itself, towards the distant ghost light. Your hand trembles slightly, and your flashlight beam hesitates, held still, instinctively not wanting to break the spell or reveal your presence in this impossible moment. The faint light from the distant ghost light is all you have, a weak pool of illumination in the vast dark. And then, in that limited glow, you see them. In the pit's gloom, hunched over a shadowy shape that must be a piano, a figure sits. It's translucent, shimmering faintly, like heat haze given form, its shape barely solid, yet undeniably there. You can see the light from the stage passing through it. Its hands move over unseen keys, its head tilted as if listening to a sound only it can truly hear. The melancholic melody, a little clearer now, seems to emanate directly from this spectral pianist. Your breath hitches, a silent gasp catching in your throat. No. The thought is frantic, a desperate mantra. And this isn't happening. Are your eyes playing tricks on you? It's just the light, just shadows. It has to be. You blink hard, rub your eyes, even pinch your arm, but the image remains, unwavering. A hallucination? Am I that tired? I haven't slept enough. Pure disbelief wars fiercely with the impossible evidence before your eyes, a sickening lurch in your gut. Then your gaze is pulled up to the stage itself, drawn by the ghost light's central burn. At the edge of the light circle, vague forms seem to shift and take shape. Hints of other figures, standing unnaturally still, or perhaps trapped in silent, repetitive movements, a sway, then another, just slightly out of sync. Your breath hitched. Wait, was that another one? No, it wasn't a single figure swaying in the shadows. It was them, more than one. A chilling realization snaked up your spine. This wasn't just one thing haunting this place. There are multiple. Your mind reels, struggling to cope. It can't be real. This is impossible. I'm dreaming. I have to be dreaming. Then you see them out in the auditorium, back in the rows you just patrolled. Faint, still shapes seated amongst the empty velvet, like the waiting ladies from the stories you dismissed as folklore. Their forms are almost indistinguishable from the shadows, yet undeniably present. Their stillness somehow more unnerving than movement. Up in the balcony's upper darkness, a taller, restless shadow paces the aisle edge, a strong sense of agitation radiating even from this distance. They are real. The thought hits you with the force of a physical blow, stealing the air from your lungs, pushing all rationalization violently aside. All of them. The watchers in the seats, the pacing figures above, the players and performers on the stage. This is real, and I'm seeing it. And you, standing here in the front row, are seeing the impossible with terrifying clarity. The shock is a cold wave washing over you, rooting you to the spot, making your blood feel like ice in your veins, the world tilting slightly on its axis as your grip on reality loosens. You are rooted to the spot by the sheer, terrifying shock, your gaze sweeping frantically over the impossible tableau of spectral figures populating the theater. The hunched pianist, the silent forms on stage, the still watchers in the seats, the restless shadow high in the balcony. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic, deafening drum against the heavy silence, the blood rushing in your ears, your vision narrowing with panic. This isn't happening. The thought is a desperate loop in your mind. It can't be happening. Then, as if your impossible sight has triggered something fundamental, something that shouldn't be seen, something that has alerted them, the distant ghost light on stage begins to react. It flickers, not a gentle dip, as if on a faulty circuit, but a violent, frantic struggle. The single bulb seeming to scream against the encroaching darkness, plunging the shadows around it into temporary chaos, before flaring back with unnatural, impossible intensity. The air around the light crackles with strain, and a sharp ozone smell briefly intensifies. The light, it's dying. The horrifying thought forms unbidden, a chill that has nothing to do with the room's temperature. That's what the stories say. That's the only thing keeping it back. As the ghost light sputters and fights, its single beam flickering weakly, you feel a shift in the air that has nothing to do with the temperature. It's an unmistakable wave of emotion that seems to emanate from the silent, empty auditorium. A collective anxiety ripples through the darkness, a subtle tremor of worry, of unease, as if the unseen presences are themselves afraid of the light dying. Afraid of what might happen to them if that single point of defiance is extinguished. You sense their fear, a cold, formless dread that mirrors your dawning horror. What does the utter dark hold for them? And then cutting sharply through that general anxiety, a more potent, focused emotion surges from the balcony high above. A spike of pure antagonism, sharp and cold as razor wire, but beneath it, a desperate edge, a raw fear that twists into burning rage. It's centered, directed. Your gaze is pulled, against your will, back up towards where you saw the pacing shadow. This isn't the quiet sorrow of the waiting ladies, or the looping detachment of the eternal performers. This feels like volatile hate born of terror. This one is different. The thought screams in your mind, sharp and cold with dawning horror. He's aware and sees me. He knows I see him, see his panic as the light fails. His presence, distinct from the others, suddenly feels overwhelming, intense with a cold, sharp malice, a burning rage that seems to latch onto you, wrapping around your chest, making your muscles tense uncontrollably. He presses down from the heights, no longer just watching from a distance, but focused entirely on you, on your presence here, on the fact that you see their fear, see his fury. You feel it like a crushing physical weight, stealing your breath, making your head swim. This is him, the legend of the angry man from the stories, the malice, the fear beneath the hate. It's the one from the legends you dismissed. He's coming for me, and as the light weakens, as that single point of defiance struggles against the encroaching dark, his malevolent energy seems to surge, filling the void left by its failing power, making the air around you feel thick and hostile, an unmistakable threat pressing in from the aisles, from the darkness high above, seeking you out here in the front row. The single bulb gives a final, desperate sputter, a tiny, brave spark swallowed by the encroaching black. Then it dies. Silence slams into you. Absolute and suffocating, a physical weight that steals the air from your lungs, making your head spin. The auditorium is plunged into a darkness that feels deeper than mere absence of light, a void that seems to pulse with unheard sound, with the echo of phantom applause that never truly fades. You can't see him, can't see anything in the sudden, crushing void where the ghost light stood. But you feel his presence coalesce, vast and furious, right there in the dark space above, a cold, tangible pressure against your mind. The stage before you is a black abyss, the orchestra pit a deeper void below, and you are standing at the very edge of it. The ghost light is gone. The only rule is broken, and in the crushing, silent dark, you feel the audience pressing in, a dense, expectant presence in the empty seats. You feel the performers gathering on the unseen stage, their restless energy vibrating in the air. You came here to keep the dark at bay, to make sure the theater slept. But you are awake now, utterly, terribly awake. And in the absolute silence, in the profound cold, you feel the edges of yourself begin to fray, to dissolve into the vast, watchful dark. You are not just standing in their space. You are becoming part of its fabric. Another presence, waiting in the wings, for a cue that will never come. Trapped forever in the chill before the show truly begins. Your own thoughts now blending with the silent, hungry anticipation that fills the void where the light used to be. And so, my dear ravens, the ghost light dims, but only for now. For every tale you've heard tonight was born in that hush between darkness and curtain rise, when the stage forgets what century it belongs to. The Grand Opera House does not sleep. It waits. Beneath its boards, behind its velvet, something remembers the warmth of lights and the thrill of being seen. They say the light is left burning to keep them in their place. But tell me, my raven, what happens when it goes out? This is Lady Lenore, guiding you back to the light, if only for a moment. Sleep well, my children of the dark. And if you wish to return to the shadows again, strike the like button, subscribe, and let the bell guide your way back. And if you know a place where the lights once fell and never rose again, share your tale in the comments below. The stage is always listening, and it always has room for one more.